Welcome everyone to Enlightened World Network. And of course, we're here. It's Wednesday, 5 o'clock. So it's time for divine relationship recovery. And I have been adding new guest hosts each week. And I am so grateful to bring MarBeth Dunn on with me today to be my special guest host. So welcome, MarBeth.
Oh, I'm so happy to be here with you, Deb. I just love what you're doing.
Well, thank you. And of course, I feel the same way. And Marbeth has spent a lot of time with us on Enlightened World Network, and she does beautiful meditations. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about her. And so Marbeth is a mindset, success, and energy management specialist who helps highly sensitive professional women create personal and economic miracles. A spiritual teacher for over 35 years, MarBeth uses her intuitive abilities to accurately pinpoint the hidden issues holding you back from your greatest successes. MarBeth has developed the powerful miracle activation technology system, an integrative approach for greater confidence, alignment, financial success, emotional freedom, peace of mind, and more harmonious relationships. And so I am so grateful for you to be here. And one also important thing that you have done is you have conducted the World Miracle Peace Experiment. So can you please tell people what that is about?
I woke up one morning and I was told that I was going to create an experiment, a meditation experiment, that it would happen in 2 weeks and it would be broadcast live. And I initially thought, well, I'll do this on my conference line, but the conference line didn't work. And I was like, well, can I, do I have to get this together in 2 weeks? There are a lot of moving parts here. And I got a very clear no. You need to do this in 2 weeks. So this was, a few years ago. And so I did. And when I initially did the first meditation over my conference line, it didn't work. And so I grabbed my phone and I went live on Facebook for the very first time. And then the reason that I did this, it's based on the work of the transcendental meditation experiments that were done all over the world, and they've been focused in Washington D.C., in Israel during the war in Lebanon, and where people would get together physically in a place, and they would meditate transcendental meditation twice a day, which, as you know or don't know, it's about 18 minutes a day. And I have studied transcendental meditation, and I've done it, off and on for years. And so wherever they would meditate, the level of violence would drop dramatically. And so I thought, we need to do something like this. There's so much violence in the world. And also, the work of Lynn McTaggart, where we are all so combined. So I realized that we can meet out in the field of possibilities, the field of miracles. We could all get together, and from a place of peace, from a place of love and intention, that we can create this field and then direct the energy towards the Middle East. Now, the Middle East, because it's been such a long-term situation, there are independent statistics. And so I was able to actually see the results of what we were doing, or the correlation. I can't, can I say there, that this is because we meditated? There was a very strong correlation between the level of violence and how it dropped with the period of our meditation. The first month, I was just planning to do this for 30 days, and 7 minutes a day to world peace. And after 30 days, I just didn't want to stop. And so we created the summer, summer of peace. And because, I was doing this every day myself, every day at noon, it's a huge commitment. You think, well, I'm going to have to do this every day at the same time live. So I brought in guests who could help out and lead the meditation twice a day. And then, you know, I interviewed them so people would know who they were. So it turned into a much bigger project. But the point is that over the 6 months, with independent statistics, the level of violence dropped about 20% from when we started. So I know that we have power, that when we are together and when we can meditate together, even just 7 minutes a day, and with this intention, coming from a place of peace, coming from a place of love, joining together in this field of miracles and possibilities, miracles happen. We can affect the level of violence. And so I did this on Sunday. I was just drawn, you know, we have to do this. So I created a live meditation, and I invited people to come and do it as often as they want to. You know, it's really important.
Yeah, it is very important. I'm so happy that you're doing that, because, and that's why I wanted you to talk about the strength of what happens when we come together and unite and meditate together and share peace out to the world and love out to the world, that it does make a difference.
Oh,
And
totally.
yeah, and our world needs it today.
Absolutely. I was just talking with a client, and she was telling me how upset that she's been crying because of everything that's been going on globally, you know, with all of these marches and protests and violence, and people are, you know, are just so upset. And, you know, and I said, look, you can either focus and identify with being a victim, or you can move to a higher place where you can create something different. You don't need to buy into the pain and the fear and the victimhood. You know, I mean, we don't need to do that. If we're going to affect change, that's the last place we want to be, because then we're going to react rather than act from a place of strength. So it's so important that we remember who we are. We don't need to be victims. We can all unite together and create from a place of strength. So important.
It is so important. And this falls right into our topic tonight. And as people know, from listening to the show, God usually gives me a download of what the topic needs to be and gives me text as to what needs to be talked about. And for those of you who are new to watching the show, I experience God as divine love. It's pure energy. Um, but I relate to that energy as male because that's the way God presents to me. So I say he a lot. So I like to let people know that that is my relationship, and that's what this is all about. This show is your relationship with divine love, and it can be anything for anyone. So and the other part I talk about a lot is Jesus, because Jesus showed up as part of my awakening, and you can relate to Jesus in any way that you want. I relate to Jesus as my brother. That's the way God has asked me to relate to the energy of Jesus. So whatever way you relate, you take it into your heart the way that you do, because there is no wrong or right. It's whatever makes you feel comfortable and good. So the topic is, I am full within the presence of peace, love, and harmony. And I was told to expect only peace and harmony. And so as you were speaking, MarBeth, I was thinking, okay, so we need to really stand into really our divine authority in the strength of knowing who we are. And but if you don't have a reference for that, that's what this show is about, is how do you connect to divine love so that you can gain strength from understanding who you are, who you truly are. And that's what this divine relationship recovery is all about, is connecting with source, your creator. So the first paragraph that he gave me, and he talks to me, he's giving me a lesson, but the lesson is for everybody. And he said, as you know, peace starts within yourself. You were created out of peace. This was and still is my offering to you. This is why I sent Jesus to you, to awaken to the peace that resides inside of you, in everyone. So I thought we'd just start with that, because that's a bombshell in itself for a lot of people, of not understanding that they were created out of peace, that that's all there is love and joy, harmony and peace.
That's beautiful. That's really the reality of what is.
Mm-hmm.
And in terms of connecting to God, source, the universe, the energy that's pure love that created us, the only way we can connect is if we're feeling peaceful. And so when I first learned this, when I began studying A Course in Miracles almost 35, 40 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't believe in God. I didn't believe in miracles, and the book is channeled from Jesus. And I didn't know, but I was pulled in, and I didn't understand anything that I was reading.
Nobody does when they first start.
But I was pulled in, and it was just so beautiful. And I learned, how do I connect? Well, I have to choose what makes me feel more peaceful. So that, I think, is really the place to start. If you're on a path that doesn't feel peaceful, maybe you need to stop and think, what would make me feel more peaceful? And it's not a matter of caving in, if you're like fighting with somebody. It's what makes you feel peaceful inside. It may be, well, I'm going to stand up for myself because that makes me feel peaceful. But the idea is that you speak your truth, you're authentically you, and you're coming from that place of peace. And you have that power to choose that every minute, every second, every instant. You can, and if you're not feeling peaceful, choose once again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that you do have the ability to choose over and over every moment of the day. And what really struck me is when God's saying that this is all you are. You're created out of peace. That is your natural state. And for me, until I had a relationship with God, I didn't know how to access that. I didn't really have a reference for peace, because I had a trauma background and just a lot of stuff in my life. And so
Sure.
peace was not really part of, peace and contentment was not part of my day-to-day life.
Mine either. Mine either. But
Yeah.
the thing is, it offers us contrast.
Mm-hmm.
We are seeking something different because what we were living was awful,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, when you take time, and, we were talking about meditation and how meditation is important in trying to unify and send out love to everyone. When you go in and meditate, that's when you connect to your divine self. That's when you connect to divine love, the substance of all life. And when you connect back into, I call it home, when you connect back into home, you feel what peace feels like, because it is a feeling that I can't, it's more than peace. It's bliss. And there's so much love that what you're tapping into is your own natural state of being. And to know that you can access that from inside yourself is pretty amazing. That you have everything you need inside yourself for this journey. And the peace that you're looking for is right there.
I wanted to add also
Mm-hmm.
that for some people, it's very difficult to sit still, to
Mm-hmm.
even begin to meditate. So it might be a matter of going outside in your garden
Mm-hmm.
or hugging a tree
Mm-hmm.
or being walking, whatever is going to make you feel more peaceful.
Mm-hmm.
And being in the present moment, recognizing, what am I feeling in my body? What am I hearing? What am I smelling? Am I feeling a breeze on my skin? What kind of sensations am I experiencing right now in the moment? Because that brings you into that moment. If you're focused on the past, if you're focused on the future, it's very easy to forget
Mm-hmm.
and to be, right here in the moment. But that's where we connect to God, source, the universe, that powerful energy.
Mm-hmm. Such an important message, Marbeth, because you have to stay in the present to connect with that, because otherwise your mind's all over the place. And that's a whole journey in itself, is learning how to stay present, because most people are not present. I know it took me a really long time to practice that. I felt like if I was present for a minute a day, it was a whole lot when I first started. It
Sure.
it just gradually gets easier and easier to do. And does it mean that you don't go off somewhere in your mind? No, you still go off somewhere, but most of the time you can stay present. And you know how to bring yourself back. You know how to shift yourself back into the present. Because in the present, everything is perfect.
Yeah, no, that's very true.
Mhm.
I find so often, like when I'm working with my clients, and as an empath, I feel, in the physical. it's it's like I'm receiving information all the time from them, and I'm totally in the present with them. So there is that connection. When I'm leading meditations, I feel totally in that present place. And I just receive that information. It just flows right through. And that feels really so wonderful. So we just being present, just expanding our beingness and our awareness. This is how, and appreciation and love, there, it's just all part of the same process. And because we are created in the image of God,
Mhm. Yeah.
and God is not an old man sitting up in the sky.
No, yeah, when I was younger, that's what I believed. And that fits so perfectly into our next paragraph that he gave me. He said, peace is a given. It is your divine nature, because there is only one energy, one consciousness, one love, and I am you. You are my creation, therefore the essence of love. And so that just led right into that, of understanding the oneness of one energy, that there is only consciousness, and that God is you. You know, I would say, you know, how you walk around and you're trying to do affirmations, I am, right? But when God says to you, I am you, I'm not saying I am you, He's saying, I am you. It takes
Yeah,
on a whole nother level of, whoa.
yeah. But isn't God everything?
It's
Isn't
everything.
God? Yeah, God is everything. God, it's not limited to that old man in the sky,
Mhm.
sitting up there in a throne. We are, and we're created in the image of our Creator. So we are without limits. We are pure love, pure joy, pure peace. Amazing, powerful. We're powerful.
Mhm.
limitless beings.
Mhm.
And, and that whole quote from Marianne Williamson that she really took from A Course in Miracles, that was attributed to Nelson Mandela. But that is really what so many people are afraid of, is our magnificence.
Mhm.
It's like, who am I? Who am I to say that I have the same qualities as God, not even to say that I am and
Mhm.
God is.
Mhm.
It's like claiming your identity. Oh
Mhm.
my God, I don't deserve it. I'm not worthy of it. But maybe it's true.
Mhm.
Maybe it's true that we are these amazing, powerful beings. And
Mhm.
there's a lot of disturbance right now with this, you know, a lot of demonstrations and protests and looting and rioting and it can really grab your focus and be a huge distraction. But I know that if enough of us send love and peace into the mix, it's going to make a shift.
It has to.
It has to.
Mhm. Yeah, our energy, being one mind, being one consciousness, being one love, it affects the whole, because there's nothing separate. There's nothing separate, like you were saying before. Everything is God. Everything is divine love. Everything's consciousness. So whatever you see outside of yourself is the same thing, the same as you. So your heart expands out into this infinite eternal consciousness. And
And, and also, the song, Row, Row, Row Your Boat, Life is But a Dream.
mhm,
It is a dream.
mhm,
We come back and we put on another costume every lifetime and we play a different role.
mhm.
But that's not who we are. In the movie Cocoon, when do you remember the movie Cocoon, when these light beings were putting on human suits so they would blend in with everybody? We're these light beings. We're
Yeah,
wearing these human suits, but
yeah.
that's not who we are. We are these light beings. We are pure love.
Mhm. Yeah. And the whole journey is really it's believing it. It's like you understand things intellectually, and then it's really integrating it and believing it. And that's the whole process of this journey, is allowing that information and taking it in, and recognizing, like you said, the power that we all have, because the power comes from the ability to create. The power comes from that we are limitless creators. And so we are painting our own reality, um, in this dream state. We're painting our own reality. And why not paint love? Why not paint peace? Like, everybody cries for it, but they don't realize that they have to do it in here first.
They have to they have to project it out.
Mhm.
We start by feeling the love within us.
Mhm.
You can't just send out an intention, oh, I pray that there's going to be peace. That doesn't work. You actually have to start from within you and really connect with love and recognizing that you are the essence of love. You are the essence of peace. And then we can join together, and then we can create together in the field of miracles, all together. When two or more are joined, that's when we are so powerful.
Mhm.
So we need to come together in that field and direct this love and peace where it where it needs to go,
Mhm.
where it wants to go.
Right. Yeah. And I had to do a lot of work. Once I was woke up about 5.5 years ago, pretty abruptly, and but Jesus, and there was all this work that I needed to do to go back and find my heart, because it was so, it felt closed. It felt,
Yeah.
I had a lot of work to do, forgiveness and, letting go of things, and like it's buried, like your heart's buried. And so the spiritual process is going in and actually reviving your heart, and knowing that it's always been there, but you put all this armor around it and to protect yourself, and then
Sure.
you don't really get to feel the expansiveness of your love that is available to you to share out with other people,
That's so true.
to even your own self, because I
Yeah.
didn't how to receive it my own self. So this was a process. And so if we want to send out love, we need to, like what MarBeth is saying, you need to experience it in your own being.
So it's important to remove everything that isn't love.
Mhm,
And that is a process,
mhm,
so that we don't judge ourselves because we're harboring feelings of ill will toward other people, or we're feeling not worthy, or we're judging people or ourselves, and it's something that we all do.
mhm,
And as we, everyone, is just, it's just a stone that we just remove. I'm just removing this because these are all the blocks to the awareness of love within us.
mhm. Yeah.
So as we remove the anger, as we remove the feeling of hurt or victimhood, as we, and there is, it's a lot, it's a lifelong process, but I'll tell you, you just releasing it, move into a place of happiness, because that really is our divine state. We're not supposed to be sad or victims or, well, humble, yes, because we recognize that we don't need to put on a whole ego. But I think that's where that's coming from. But we really need to be our transparent self, which means that we're not holding on to any pain or any history, and it's constantly releasing, 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 and then you expand. The more you release, the more you expand. The more you expand, the more you connect with God.
Mhm.
So it's a beautiful thing.
Mhm. It is totally beautiful. And from my experience, like God's the one who was who did all of this with me. Like we went through, God and Jesus, the angels went through one by one and removed all the pieces that were there. And as things still come up, we go through the same process of releasing. You're releasing parts of the false self that we all took on to have this experience. And it's like
Sure.
an onion. It's like that human suit that you're talking about, the costume, and little by little you're taking a little piece off of the costume and revealing the beautiful light being that's underneath it,
Yeah,
and the joy that comes from actually doing this, when you can do this also divinely, when it's being led divinely, which it all is.
it's
uh,
all divine.
it's all divine. It is like you said, it's the joy and the bliss and the peace of what is underneath is magnificent. But some days we go out and we pick another piece of that costume and slap it back on again.
Yep. You mean you're human?
Yeah. And we slap it back on. It's like, okay, that's got to come off again. So there's this whole process of removing the faulty self, and so that you understand the treasure that's inside of who you are. It is beautiful. It is a beautiful experience.
And if you think also, like we appear to be solid here.
Right.
But we're not, because we're made up of all of these molecules, that have these atoms that have nuclei and all of these other particles. And there's so much space in each one of these atoms that if you took all the matter in our physical form and condensed it, it would be about the size of an apple seed.
Oh gosh.
I know. So we
Mhm.
really are energy beings. And what is energy and spirit? Are they synonymous? I think they're pretty synonymous.
Mhm. Well, that's all spirit is energy.
Yeah.
That is it. So let's go to the next paragraph and see what that one says. Peace is eternal. You've heard this before. It never shifts or changes, for it is a state of being. Anytime you feel unrest, it is a signal to return home to me to regain balance again. Understand you are always in complete balance because of our oneness, even though the experience of life makes you feel out of balance. I can assure you that this is never the case. That learning that you are never out of balance, you are in perfect balance all the time, but the experience, like we're talking about, the experience of this life makes our energy feel like it's vibrating differently.
Sure.
And that creates all the feelings and the thoughts and the memories and that come back and forth. And what God is saying, you are never out of balance. You just believe that you are.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So I find that if I just ask, what is this?
Uh-huh.
Show me a different way of seeing this,
Mm-hmm.
that I will get a different perspective. As soon as I release my hold, like I have to see this, I have to hold on and see this person as the enemy, or I have to hold on and judge this person or myself. But if I always find that if I ask, the answer is always there. You know, I mean, I can ask, you know, where are my glasses or where is my phone? And I am immediately led there. You know, my eyes will go right there.
Mm-hmm.
Or, you know, I'm just guided to go exactly.
Yeah.
But, you know, the thing is we don't know this. We don't come with a handbook, you know, when we're born. And so, you know, it's all a process of exploration.
Mm-hmm. It certainly is. And so you can ask, you have signs all around you all day long trying to help you navigate. And
Sure.
yeah, and like you said, your eyes, even your eyes will go right to something, or
Hmm.
you'll see symbols, or it'll just lead you to the next thing. In fact, you're being led the whole time. You're being, your life is unfolding for you. God, consciousness, divine love is moving your life. You're really not doing anything.
When
You are.
you're in the flow, you
Mhm.
know, but you may not perceive it. You know, you won't recognize the signs. You won't recognize that you're being guided or led unless you open yourself up and allow it to happen and trust that it's happening. And
Mhm.
then, you know, but the thing is how you have to ask, how can I trust? How can I open myself up more? And then you'll start getting answers. If you don't ask, you're not going to get the answers.
Mhm. Yeah, and it sounds simple, and it is simple, and it's also learning how to listen. And the more that you're present, helps you listen more and be attentive to all the intuitive stuff that's happening within yourself, because
Sure.
that's what your intuition is. It's divine guidance. It's divine
Absolutely.
love. So the intuition is just it's there. It's part of this experience. Like you're, it doesn't go away, and it's you learning how to trust your own intuition, and that takes practice. When,
Hmm.
you know, because I know I, for even for myself, because I did not trust myself in my growing up and what I've experienced. I learned that I had to trust other people, but they weren't trustworthy either. And so then I didn't trust anyone. So my process has been, you know, learning how to trust my intuition, knowing that I'm always being guided every single moment.
And even the people that, you know, we had issues with in the past, you know, we don't know what we may have done to them in a past life.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so if you recognize that maybe this is a balancing, we're talking about balancing,
Mm-hmm.
so maybe this is a balancing, and maybe I was, you know, maybe I was the one who was like the perpetrator in the past life. And
Mhm.
so you can, just by stepping back, by releasing them. And sometimes there are processes that need to happen in order to release these issues from the past. But when we do, and then we experience this place of freedom, and we start to come into this place of, oh yeah, I feel good. I can release that. I don't need to be a victim or a perpetrator. I'm can just be me. And
Mhm.
who am I? I'm God.
Mhm.
And
Right.
God is me.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the destination, and the journey is getting yourself there. One of the things that Jesus really worked on with me, even made me a diagram of how I needed to look at God, and he said once you trust, so when you can let go and trust God that God is good and only has your best interest in mind, that is what shifts everything,
Yeah.
is that
Yeah,
that trust and faith.
it is. But to get there, if all you have experienced has been betrayal,
Hmm.
if what you've been experienced has been abuse on some level,
Hmm.
and you feel, well, if God were here, God would have protected me, so I can't trust God. Or we equate God with a parent,
Hmm.
and
Yep.
if our parents, have had some issues,
Hmm.
again, that reflects back on God.
Sure.
So I mean, we refer to him as father.
Hmm.
So my experience with my father was not pleasant. But on another note, I did have, I was sharing this with one of my clients many years ago, and my father was very abusive with my mom. He basically abandoned us when I was a baby, but I had visited him maybe 3 times, and the last was when I was 19. I wanted to get to know him, and he ignored me. So that was my experience with my father. I did not have good thoughts about him. I had a lot of judgment and a lot of pain, and feelings of like maybe I wasn't good enough, maybe there was it somehow it was my fault. We do all these things to ourselves. But
Right.
but then many years after he had passed away, he came to me in a meditation and surrounded me with this incredible love. And it was like the purest love I'd ever experienced. And I was so shocked. I said, "What is this?" And he said, "I've always loved you. I will always love you. We contracted before we were born that these were the roles that we would play in each other's life."
Hmm.
And I could feel the truth.
Hmm.
And I was sitting there and tears were streaming down my face. And
Hmm.
I let it go. I just let all of this go. And what an amazing gift that was, to
Hmm.
recognize that, it was all orchestrated.
Right. It's all orchestrated, and what a healing. That's
Huge
such a
healing.
beautiful story. And because we're one love or one consciousness, it doesn't matter if somebody's passed on, because we're never disconnected ever.
And
And
we're never dead. We're
right.
eternal beings.
Yes. Yeah. So to have that, and that's so important for people to know, that if you did not get to heal with somebody while they were present or physically here, that you can still heal with them afterwards. And
Absolutely.
yeah, so I went through the same thing with my dad. I did all my healing after he left, after he transitioned, and he came to me as one of my guides. And so I've had a lot of help and lots of love of forgiving and letting go and feeling the love, and moving forward out of that. And so there's so much. that you learn when you can go inside and connect, because you wouldn't believe the healing that takes place. And it just,
Oh, I would.
yeah, well, you do because you've experienced it. I want people to go in and actually experience it themselves if they haven't really had this experience yet. There's constant healing, and it is through unconditional love and truth, divine truth, of helping you have a completely different perspective than what you would have from the earth, of what all
And
the
so,
things you learned from this world.
so there's a question here. So if you're viewing someone from viewing them as being a perpetrator, or you're viewing them as being an abuser, it doesn't mean that you need to hang out with them or continue your relationship with them, but you do need to let go of the energy you're holding regarding them, that judgment. If you can recognize, you know, it's okay for me to let this go. I don't need to hang out with them anymore or be, any close associate of them. I can, you know,
Mhm.
just release it. Send them love, for whatever part they played in my growth,
Mhm.
and let it go. And that's not always an easy lesson to learn. That could be a huge lesson,
Mhm.
but it can shift your life in the most amazing ways.
and and it's all about wanting to heal. You have to be a willing participant. When you're a willing participant, it makes it so much easier than if you're constantly saying, no, I'm not going to do this, I'm not
Well,
going to.
then you'll get it over and over again. The same lesson is going to show up.
Yes, it is. It totally is. It totally is. So yeah, so this, it's inspiring to let people know that the love inside is always trying to bring you back home to truth, to who you are, and letting go. And what you're saying about not judging is so important. I had a lesson from Archangel Raphael, and what he told me is, I'm not to judge anybody. He said, everybody's in their own movie. They're the star of their own movie, right?
Exactly.
And he said, and you know, you don't understand what their movie's about, because everybody, even though we're here and we're collective, uh, we're also on our own individual journey. We have our own curriculum, and so you don't know what somebody's curriculum is, and so you think you do, but you don't. And so he said, you know how you don't like certain flavors of ice cream? Like, I don't like strawberry. He said, I want you to look at all these different movies that are going on in each person, and all you could say is, it's not my flavor of ice cream. I'm not judging it, but it's strawberry, and I don't really care for strawberry, but I'm not judging it. So I got this whole
Right.
lesson on, I kind of how to view things without making a judgment call. It's just like, it's just not my taste or
Right.
whatever.
So
Yeah.
it's discernment rather than
Yeah.
judgment.
Yes. It's more a discernment. Yeah. It's not my flavor of ice cream.
Cool.
And we're all one. So if you end up judging, you're just judging yourself anyway. Because
Exactly.
we're projecting everything that we see outside of ourselves, and whatever is it coming out is stuff that for some reason you don't even know where it comes from. It just needs to be cleared, and
Exactly.
just loved back into, um, transmuting and back into the energy that it is.
That's beautiful.
Thank you. So the last paragraph is, let's see, accepting peace for yourself is accepting peace for the world. It is as simple as that. Peace is my eternal gift to you, and by aligning and allowing, meaning also believing the truth, you will shift and create a world of peace. Try not to use your human senses to decide if there is peace in the world. Just embody this truth. Be peace. Believe and stay in your knowingness that it is already done. Trust that everything is in divine order.
Beautiful. That's so beautiful. I love it.
And well, everything that comes through, is just like, it's so powerful.
It's
And
so powerful.
and hearing it from within, it just has a different well, for me, it really has a different emphasis on what I take in.
Of course.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a personal message.
Yeah, right, right. So we were talking before about how we unify in our love and then send out love, and how we needed to feel it first.
So important.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can't share what you don't have.
Mm-hmm.
So in order to feel peace and allow it within, you also need to it's a combination. You're going to be projecting it as you feel it. You're going to be radiating it as you feel it, and as you share it, then you're actually getting more of it.
Mm-hmm.
So the more love you share, the more you're going to receive. The more peace you share, the more you're going to experience. And it's so really perfect. So, and how we teach people to be more peaceful is by being peaceful ourselves.
Yes. Yes. It's really not even having to do things. I get told this over and over again, that I don't have to do anything. I just need to be it. I
It's
just
so
need to,
true.
yeah, I just need to stay in a state of peace, in a state of love. And that is enough, because
That's
you
plenty.
are enough, right? And then if you feel motivated to do something, then that's great. But all you really need to do is claim it, be it, and want it. And I think most people really, that's really what they want, is peace and contentment.
I don't know if they know it. I think
Yes.
that's the thing, is that people don't recognize it
Mm-hmm.
because, they have been educated in a different way, not recognizing. They think that their physical bodies, they think that what's occurring in the world right now is something that they need to react to,
Mm-hmm.
and until we recognize that, yeah, there's things going on and it would be lovely, to do something about them, but I'm going to be peaceful and
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to come from that place.
Mm-hmm.
That, and then, and it can even be like looking down from 30,000 feet,
Yes. Yes.
getting a different perspective.
Mm-hmm. It is. I keep getting told, come up here, come up here, come. So I go and I sit in this cloud of my meditation with God and Jesus, and we look down, and He says, "You need to just stay up here, stay in here, stay up here, stay in this, stay, go higher, go higher, go higher, go higher." Because really, part of the process is when you're they're all like building blocks. So as you keep understanding what divine truth is, and you make that your heart truth, and so you stay in your heart truth and not in your eye truth, because your eyes are not telling you the truth.
No, we need to look with spiritual sight rather than physical sight, because our senses can deceive us.
Yes, all the time.
Right. So, if we're looking at people who are looting right now, and maybe protesting from a more violent place,
Mhm.
if we're going to be in the, down here on the ground, then we're going to be judging them. We're going to see them in a certain way and we're going to react to them. But if we come up and we recognize that at their core that they are love, and we can extend that love to them.
Mhm.
then we have an opportunity to see them shift.
Yes. Yeah. And you can do that. You can shift people just by staying in your love and peace. It's amazing. And it's also really cutting a break. Like you learn how to cut yourself a break in judging your own self and the things that you've been through and done through your life. And then it's looking at your brothers and sisters and saying, it's sort of like Jesus saying they know not what they do, right? It's coming from that same place of they really don't. When you are grounded into 3D, you don't know what you're doing. You don't know the expansiveness of who you are. You don't
Exactly.
know. You don't understand divine truth, and so it's really it's well, my whole talk last week was on grace. So it's about learning how to have grace for yourself and grace for other sisters, grace for your brothers and sisters that don't understand right now that that peace and love is the only cure for everything.
But you're holding the space for them.
Yes.
You're holding that space without judgment,
Mhm.
just allowing them to be who they are in their role that they're playing right now, because you know that that light being is inside that human skin.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sort of like when you send your little kids out and they go out for the first time and they're trying this and that, right? And you're just still loving them no matter what they're doing, what any mistakes they might make or whatever. It is really honoring each person's process and how their journey's unfolding. And there's no wrong or right.
No, that's very true.
Yeah.
And it's so we're actually moving into eternal laws rather than human laws. We're
Mhm.
moving above the battleground. We're moving into this sphere where other laws govern us. And this is the place where miracles happen. You know?
And I think this is a very important talk for light workers right now.
Mm-hmm.
That because we're all being asked to step up, there's transformation happening energetically, and it's already happened. And it's about how do we keep staying in truth and not keep getting sucked in to 3D stuff again, that we keep standing in our strength. And as you need to during the day, is asking for help over and over and over again to help you stay strong in your truth so that you stay in your heart no matter what you see, what's going on. And so I think right now for light workers, it's very important because everybody's needed. All the love is needed. And then in another whole thing on another level is also remembering everything's in divine order. God's got everything under control. So all you have to do is sit in love and peace, and everything is taken care of.
Absolutely. And we don't know the whole picture. We
Mm-hmm.
don't have that spirit side view. So we don't know how things are supposed to look or how they should be. We need to just focus individually on our own curriculum, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Just focus on love and peace.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're right. It's like staying in your own lane. Stay in your curriculum. You need to stay on task with what you're supposed to be doing, what your journey is all about.
Yeah,
And that's it.
so beautiful.
I know. What a wonderful show. What a wonderful conversation with you, MarBeth. I'm so happy to share this space with you.
Me too. This was just so wonderful. Subjects that are so close to my heart.
Mhm. Yeah, I thought it was pretty interesting. Um, that God came up with peace. And I just knew it. I said, oh, MarBeth's going to be on with me. And that is what you speak about mostly, is peace.
And you know, many years ago, I had someone who read my fingertips and she said they represent peace.
Oh, that's awesome.
I know.
That's really awesome. I don't think I've ever heard that before.
I know. I hadn't heard of it either. And she said it was rare.
Well, you know that you are exactly in the right space, right? You're doing the right thing with what you came here to do. So, well, MarBeth, why don't you tell people how they can get in touch with you?
Well, you can find me at marbethdunn.com or come join the World Miracle Peace Experiment. And we'll do something every Sunday. I don't know exactly what it's going to be, but it could be live. There could be every Sunday there is something showing up.
Oh,
And so we've had panels, I've had meditations, we've got miracle minutes, all kinds of fun stuff. So do join and connect with me, and I would love that.
That's awesome. Yes, please check out MarBeth's Facebook page and her website, and we'll have that connected to this link for this show. So I just want to say that it was another beautiful, delightful time with everybody. And we want to say goodbye for now, knowing we are one love, protected and held in divine order by our Creator. Go out this day in this awareness, and allow God's peace and joy to occupy every thought. Lead with your heart and welcome everyone home, for all are loved. God bless you and have a beautiful day. Bye-bye.